Hey, this is Brooke, functional medicine dietitian specializing in fertility, and this is the Fertility Dietitian podcast, where I help you uncover the barriers that are preventing you from optimizing your fertility and teach you how to work with your body to finally take home a healthy baby. Each week, I will be diving into different topics on fertility and sharing my perspective on physiology, metabolic health, nutrition, and lifestyle approaches that have helped hundreds of couples get pregnant even after years of heartache. My goal is to empower you with the knowledge you need to take back control of your fertility. Happy listening. Hey friends, welcome back to the Fertility Dietitian podcast. Today we're talking about sperm health, which is often overlooked or not something we put enough emphasis on when we're thinking about reproduction and time to conception, but it's absolutely critical. And we did many conversations in season 1 about sperm health, but we're going to kind of wrap it up here and highlight some additional important areas to think about when we're thinking about sperm health. So, male preconception care has to be part of the puzzle. So, sperm health is important for not only getting pregnant, but staying pregnant, the health of that pregnancy, and for having a healthy baby. The quality of the sperm actually impacts the lifelong health of your future tiny human. And research shows that sperm contributes not just to DNA, but also epigenetic information that can affect fetal development, metabolism, and disease risk later in life. Yes, even things like childhood obesity and cancer risk are correlated with sperm health before conception. If this is not enough of a reason for men to focus on preconception health, I don't know what is. All right. We've known for decades that sperm count and quality are declining globally. It's really by more than 50%, like almost even 60% declined since the 1970s, according to a large meta-analysis study that was done in 2022. It's not just a fertility issue. It's actually a marker of overall men's health, which of course we know here at the Fertility Dietitian, and we've been, approaching it from an overall health standpoint for both men and women for at least a decade. But sperm quality impacts the fertilization success. So the quality of the sperm is going to impact how easily that egg is going to be fertilized. It absolutely impacts embryo development and miscarriage risk and the long-term health of your baby, which I have research links that I will cite in the show notes for you for these pieces of information here. Sperm DNA fragmentation and oxidative stress are two major culprits for the impact at every stage of conception here. So both of these things are influenced by things like smoking and alcohol and stress, nutrient deficiencies, toxin exposure, and poor sleep, and so on and so forth. Okay. So sperm are not just delivery vehicles for DNA. They actually carry epigenetic markers that switch genes on and off in early embryonic development. Okay. You've been following along for a while. You know that epigenetic changes are basically speaking to the genes that we have and our ability to turn them on to support fertility or turn them off to decrease ability of fertility, or it could even be the opposite depending on what gene we're talking about. But the genetic makeup that we got from our parents set us up to either have a really easy time with conception or a more challenging time for conception. And these epigenetic changes are really why we can see people who live a very unhealthy lifestyle conceive with no problem, and why others of us have to try a lot harder. Okay, so all of these exposures are going to be similar for females as they are for men, but we are going to continue highlighting the male side today because we don't talk about it enough. So these markers or marks, like epigenetic marks, basically can be altered by lifestyle, diet, and exposures to environmental toxins, essentially, or just environmental exposures as a whole. So we know in the research that obesity and poor diet actually changes sperm DNA and the methylation patterns within that DNA and influences metabolism and disease risk in our future children. Things like smoking and alcohol increase oxidative damage and DNA fragmentation, and oxidative rich diets and diets that are rich in specific nutrients can improve the quality of the sperm and reduce DNA damage. It takes at least a very minimum of 74 days for sperm to mature. And so, what your man is doing in the 2 to 3 months before conception directly shapes the sperm that fertilizes the egg. So the quality of that sperm that is going to be having a chance to fertilize an egg for conception. So I typically recommend taking at least that 90 days prior to trying to conceive, especially if you know there is a lot of DNA fragmentation going on. And this is something we can actually test for. So a semen analysis is a really great starting point to assess sperm health. And the parameters that you want to look at are a little bit different than what you're going to see on your lab printout, most likely. I've never seen a lab that is actually using optimal parameters. The parameters that they are using are very suboptimal. Okay. So get a pencil or pen out, get your notes app out, write these down. We want count to be coming in at least 48 million per milliliter or more. More is fantastic. Motility should be 63% or higher. Morphology, which is the shape of our sperm, we want normal shape in our sperm at least 12% or more. When our sperm is abnormally shaped, it has 2 heads, 2 tails, bent midpiece. It's really hard to fertilize and successfully create a baby from poorly shaped sperm. And it also speaks to what's happening with the deeper quality of sperm, like DNA fragmentation. Not always, but oftentimes we're seeing more DNA fragmentation when there's less or fewer sperm that are of appropriate shapes. So, along with over 12% morphology, we want to be looking at DNA fragmentation that is below 30, ideally below 20 even percent of that sperm is going to be fragmented or damaged in the DNA. Okay. For context, these targets are based on upper quartiles associated with optimal conception and pregnancy outcomes. Okay. On your standard lab data, those are focused on the lower 5 percentile, very bottom quartiles of data that were able to impregnate their females in a 12-month period. Does not look at things like health of the pregnancy, health of the baby after. So we want to optimize those ranges and get closer to those pre-1970 ranges, since sperm health has declined so drastically over the last 50 years. If the numbers are not ideal, don't panic. They are absolutely modifiable. Lifestyle and diet and targeted nutrients and removing oxidative stressors that can dramatically improve semen parameters within just a few short months. Okay. And because it takes follicle health or egg quality at least 3 to 4 months to significantly improve, you guys can make these changes together too. So here's the plan that can make a huge difference. At least 3 months prior to trying to conceive. 6 months is going to be even more ideal to see really significant changes, especially if there is a high amount of DNA fragmentation. Okay, ditching all of the marijuana. THC impacts spermatogenesis, motility, and the hormonal balance in males. Cutting back on alcohol, limiting it to 2 to 3 drinks a week, or avoiding it altogether, especially if there is a high amount of DNA fragmentation. A high intake of alcohol definitely increases oxidative stress and DNA fragmentation. Fatty fish, incorporating fatty fish 2 to 3 times a week is going to be really supportive for getting more of those omega-3 fats in and supporting sperm membrane integrity and motility of that sperm. Really prioritize sleep. Studies link poor sleep and late night screen use to reduce testosterone and abnormal sperm parameters. Strength training is going to be really supportive, aiming for 4 to 5 times a week. This type of exercise is going to really increase antioxidant capacity to protect those sperm from damage and support overall hormone balance in sperm production as well. Increasing nutrients like vitamin C and zinc and selenium with our foods is going to be helpful. Think strawberries, mangoes, shellfish, Brazil nuts, grass-fed beef, all really, really helpful for motility of the sperm and DNA protection as well, just protecting that DNA from damage. Completely avoiding hot tubs and saunas. Heat to the testicles is going to reduce sperm count and motility, can definitely lead to more DNA fragmentation as well. The male body was designed to keep the boys cool outside the body to reduce sperm damage. So that's an important one. And we can even talk about things like tight restrictive clothes having an impact, because it's not only going to restrict blood flow, but also create more heat in that environment that can be damaging too. Ditching plastic and fragrances is also going to be helpful. These have endocrine disrupting chemicals like BPA and phthalates that are going to impair the quality of the sperm and testosterone levels as well. And as always, creating an individualized supplement routine based on what's going on with blood work and your specific semen analysis parameters to make sure that we're targeting your nutrient deficiencies, oxidative stress, and mitochondrial support is going to provide you the best outcomes for filling in the blanks and getting those swimmers where we want them to go. All right, so final thoughts and takeaways here. Here's what I want you to remember. Fertility is not just a female issue. Half of the DNA and half of the responsibility for the healthy baby comes from sperm. And we actually see at least 30% of fertility challenges being male factor, another 30% being both male and female factor. Okay, so the male is involved over 60% of the time in our couples that are having trouble having a baby and either conceiving or carrying to term. So if you have had losses, sperm health is just as important to pay attention to, because all of these parameters are going to impact continued development as well. So we want you to be able to conceive faster, reduce miscarriage risk, and really set the stage for lifelong health for your future tiny human. So anybody listening, this is your invitation to take ownership of your preconception health. To the women that are listening to this, please share this episode with your partner and have a conversation about partnering on this journey together, truly partnering on making the lifestyle changes necessary to make your dreams come true. If you're looking for more individualized support, you know where to find me. I'd love to support you. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Fertility Dietitian podcast. If you enjoyed it, please leave a review to let me know what topics you want more of or less of. If you want to keep learning, subscribe at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Check out my website for more info on my private coaching program, Master Your Fertility, or my membership community, Fertility Blueprint. And don't forget my digital store. Come say hi on YouTube and Instagram. See you in the next episode.